New this morning on Local 6 Today, armed and dangerous. That's how Carbondale police describe a suspect from yesterday's shooting. What you need to know is straight ahead.
Plus, addressing the nation, we have a preview of President Obama's State of the Union address and breaking news from the White House involving minimum wage.
And a first shot at Sochi. We speak to the first U.S. women ski jumpers competing in the Olympics about their challenges in making history.
WPSD Local 6, your breaking news and weather authority. This is Local 6 Today in high definition.
It's just about to turn 6:01. Thanks for starting your Tuesday off with us, and we've got typical Winter Olympic weather.
Yes, and
today.
We were lucky enough to talk with the women Olympic ski jumpers.
Yeah,
I needed to get
that
out
this morning, but it all kind of balances out to put us close to where we were yesterday.
Okay, same thing. Thanks, John.
All right.
Straight to what's new this morning. According to Ameren, Illinois, 2,459 customers are without power this morning in Williamson County. A Local 6 viewer in Marion tells us that his power went out less than an hour ago, about 5:15 this morning. It's not known what has caused the outage at this time. Carbondale, Illinois police identified the primary suspect in yesterday's shooting near Rebound High School. They're looking for 18-year-old Omari A. Tinsley. He's described as a black male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing 190 pounds. He was last seen wearing a black shirt, white camouflage pants with shoulder-length dreadlock-style hair. Police say he is considered to be armed and dangerous. Police have a warrant for Tinsley, charging him with attempted first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and aggravated discharge of a firearm. If you have any information on Tinsley's whereabouts, call the Carbondale Police Department immediately.
And there will be extra police officers at Rebound High School today as a precaution following the shooting. Okay, here's what we know so far. During an open campus lunch yesterday, some students got into a fight. One of them pulled out a gun. That student shot the father of one of the other students, and police arrested one of the two suspects yesterday. Superintendent Stephen Murphy says he put the school on lockdown.
Classes still go on, but students aren't allowed in the hallways, and we lock the main doors and we monitor, the entrances to the
The victim was taken to Memorial Hospital of Carbondale for treatment. We're still waiting on an update on his condition.
Breaking news this morning from the White House. The White House saying that President Obama will sign an executive order that will set the minimum wage for workers under new federal contracts at $10.10 an hour. The current wage is $7.25 an hour. The president will announce that increase, and he will call on an increase to the national minimum wage in tonight's State of the Union address. To receive breaking news mobile alerts on your cell phone or sent to your email, you can go to our web channel, WPSDLocal6.com. Click on the blue alerts antenna icon at the top of the page. Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear and First Lady Jane Beshear are heading to the nation's capital today.
In recognition of Kentucky's role in expanding access to affordable health care, the White House invited the Beshears to President Obama's State of the Union address. The governor released a statement in response. It reads in part, "Jane and I are honored to be guests of the President and Mrs. Obama at the State of the Union address tonight. We're also excited that Kentucky is being recognized nationally for its success in providing affordable health coverage to every single Kentuckian for the first time in our history."
Governor Beshear will sit with First Lady Michelle Obama for the speech. Mrs. Beshear will be seated in the gallery.
And the president's speech is scheduled to begin at 8 o'clock tonight, and you can see it right here on Local 6. Well, what you should expect during tonight's speech. First, income inequality. The president has favored economic fairness, but now the topic is a defining one. According to a new USA Today Pew Research Center poll, the majority of both Republicans and Democrats say income inequality grew over the past decade. There's also overwhelming support for extending jobless benefits and raising the minimum wage.
Next, explaining executive action. At the end of 2013, the president coined the term Year of Action to describe his administration's approach to 2014. Since then, he's used his presidential powers to bypass Congress and achieve some of his goals. And words on immigration. Key Republicans have said they are open to a program granting legal status to most undocumented immigrants, but that does not mean they won't change their minds.
And all of this takes us to our question of the day this morning. What are you hoping to hear in President Obama's speech tonight?
You can join the conversation on our Facebook fan page. We'll have more of your comments ahead on Local 6 Today.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Let's get you caught up on your Tuesday forecast, and you can see here on Ultimate Doppler, we do have a high for these last few days of January.
Here's what's happening now. A Republican senator from Missouri is pushing for a federal investigation into the propane shortage. Senator Mike Parson of Bolivar says the companies caused the shortage to boost profits. Yesterday, Parson introduced a non-binding resolution in the Senate asking the Justice Department to investigate. Missouri Attorney General Chris Koster's office is already investigating.
We have a warning for parents. Now, these lakes may look frozen, but one step can be all it takes for the ice to crack. First responders say ponds and lakes in our area don't have a top layer of ice thick enough for people to safely venture out on them. So obviously kids are tempted to get out there. They're at the highest risk. So parents are encouraged, talk to your kids about staying off these ponds.
Explain to your kids that you can be walking along the edge and slip, fall through the ice. You have undercurrent. It's just a bad situation.
If you see someone who needs help, call 911 immediately. You can also try to throw something out to them that they can grab.
Happening next, Kaiser Automotive is hosting a job fair this morning in Fulton, Kentucky. According to the Paducah Sun, the event is scheduled from 11:30 this morning until 5:30 this evening. That'll be at the Pontiac Civic Center. That's at 100 East State Line Road. The company is looking for 10 production workers with at least 3 years of manufacturing experience. The position will pay $9.06 an hour.
Drivers crossing the I-24 Ohio River Bridge between Paducah and Metropolis should watch out for a work zone traffic shift today. Starting at 7 this morning, a contractor for IDOT plans to shift eastbound traffic from right to left lanes. Starting at 7 tomorrow morning, the westbound traffic will be shifted. As Americans, we may believe our nation is diverse, therefore shares many characteristics with other countries around the world, but in reality, we're very unique.
Yeah, coming up, we'll talk about how Americans differ from the rest of the world. That's coming up in the Buzz this morning. Right now, the time is 6:10. You're watching Local 6 Today.
It's going to be another freezing day across the Midwest. Sub-zero highs expected to dominate.
In Chicago yesterday, wind chills plummeted into the negative double digits. Take a look at this. What happened with Lake Michigan here? Bitter cold temperatures have created ice sheets on the water.
The U.S. Coast Guard brought out ice cutters yesterday, as you see here, to break the sheets along the Navy Pier and clear a path for ships. And you have to see this. It may look like something out of the movie Frozen, but instead of an ice castle, northern Wisconsin now has ice caves.
I might have to take a trip and see this for myself. This is so cool. Giant clusters of icicles hang from the cave ceilings, and there are also ice sculptures made by nature. The caves are accessible by foot for the first time in 5 years. Park officials hope the deep freeze will allow the ice caves to remain accessible for another 6 weeks.
And here's another winter weather phenomenon. In Ohio, there are snow rollers.
Okay, strong winds, they blow chunks of snow. They come in all shapes and sizes. You can see them kind of here to make them out. Some even have holes in the middle of it, right there. They're even called snow donuts sometimes. Snow donuts.
Tumbleweeds, only with snow, I guess.
I like the name donut.
That
like sounds good.
On a much warmer note, WPSD and David Spicer Jewelers want to make one lucky lady's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, this year we want to hear your heartwarming stories about why your Valentine is the best. One lucky viewer will win an Eleganza bracelet. This one we have here.
Log on to our web channel, click on the Contest and Promotions tab, and that's where you can upload videos and stories about why your Valentine is the best. Your story could end up airing right here on Local 6. We'll announce that winner on Valentine's Day right here on Local 6 Today.
And don't forget to join the conversation this morning on our Facebook fan page. We're asking what you hope to hear from President Obama's State of the Union address. One of our commenters here, Jay Collier, says a repeal on marijuana prohibition. It's about time the government gave up the big lie. All right, more comments on this topic are just ahead. Right now, the time is 6:24. You're watching Local 6 Today.
In your hour-by-hour forecast in the next half hour.
We'll also look ahead to tonight's State of the Union address. We'll run down some of the things you can expect to hear after the break.
Plus, a vote on a new farm bill could mean an economic boost for one local state. We'll explain how the measure could help an ongoing debate over a crop.
And a crash on a highway has killed a tollway worker. The latest on the investigation is just ahead. Right now to 6:28, and you're watching Local 6 Today.
Your breaking news and weather authority with Mike Mallory, Johnette Warwick, Marissa Hollowed, and Weather Authority John Champion. You're watching Local 6 Today in high definition.
It is 6:31. Thanks for starting your Tuesday off with us. I had to think about it for a second.
You were on vacation
I
for
know.
a while, so it's always hard to get back in the swing of it.
Time, dates mean nothing to me right now. A little over an hour ago, we got a call from a viewer in Marion, Illinois, said their power was out, and Ameren, Illinois did confirm that about 2,500 people were without power this morning.
Terrible morning to be without power.
Yes.
It's very cold outside, and we've seen this happen in a few different areas as well.
The good news
over
is
the
sunshine should be back in a big way this afternoon across the area.
And the sun on a cold day really kind of lifts your mood a little bit.
It really does. Yeah, it does.
Okay, thanks, John.
Okay.
Here's what's new this morning. An Illinois tollway employee died and a state trooper is seriously injured following a crash on I-88. The crash happened around 9:30 last night in Aurora, Illinois. State police say the tollway employee was pronounced dead at the scene. The trooper is hospitalized and in serious condition. The crash is under investigation.
A federal investigation continues into a truck stop company owned by Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam. 3 more former Pilot Flying J employees pleaded guilty yesterday to cheating trucking companies out of promised fuel rebates. 10 former workers have pleaded guilty since federal agents raided the company's Knoxville headquarters last year. Pilot Flying J is owned by the family of Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam and the governor. A bill that will require voters to show photo ID at polling places in Missouri heads to the Senate Elections Committee. The measure was presented to a state Senate panel yesterday. Its sponsor says that the bill is necessary to preserve the integrity of state elections, but opponents say the law will block more than 200,000 Missourians from voting.
President Obama is expected to highlight his plans for, quote, a year of action in tonight's State of the Union speech.
Andrew Spencer runs down what lawmakers are expecting to hear.
A Tea Party response will also be given later by Senator Mike Lee. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
President Obama heads into the speech with a pessimistic view from the country. According to a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, just 43% approve the president.
More than 60% of Americans believe the nation's headed in the wrong direction, and 70% are dissatisfied with the economy. Former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords is challenging Washington's leaders to not ignore gun violence. In a new ad, she says Congress is afraid of the gun lobby. Tell Washington it's too dangerous to wait. That ad is set to air right before and after the President's State of the Union address.
Now, weather on the 6s.
36 after 6 by Thursday, numbers returning to more average levels with a high in the lower 40s.
Let's go to what's happening now. 2 people are in custody in connection to a bank robbery in Caldwell County, Kentucky. State police arrested Cody Lady of Marion, Kentucky, and Lacey Bilecki of Princeton after spotting their vehicle. Troopers say the 2 robbed Fredonian Valley Bank yesterday and later tried to hit a trooper with their vehicle. No one was hurt. The McCracken County Animal Shelter could soon merge with the Humane Society. At last night's county fiscal court meeting, the judge executive scheduled a workshop to discuss a number of issues related to the shelter. The workshop is scheduled for February 17th. That'll be from 5:30 to 7:30 at the courthouse.
Happening next, hemp production could be coming back to Kentucky. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says the final version of the federal farm bill will allow limited hemp cultivation in pilot programs. The bipartisan farm bill could face its first vote as early as tomorrow. The House and Senate leaders say that the compromise also aims to continue food stamp programs and subsidies for farmers, but at the same time, the compromise will cut food stamps by $800 million a year and end direct payments to farmers and landowners. The first farm bill was rejected by the full House in June after Republicans said cuts to food stamps weren't big enough.
And tonight at 8 o'clock here on Local 6, you can catch President Obama giving his State of the Union address. So this morning on our Facebook fan page, we're asking you, what would you like to hear the president talk about? Our first comment comes from Jeff Kent, who says, cut unemployment benefits to anyone over 2 years. No one is paid that much in Social Security taxes. If you can't find a job in 2 years, you aren't looking. Drug testing for all welfare recipients. 2 strikes, you're out. Reinstate full benefits to veterans. Become more energy efficient, less dependent on foreign oil, but put all politicians on minimum wage. There, I guess I've ticked off enough people. Okay, thanks, Jeff. And Megan Cato says, what I would really like to hear, his plan for the economy, his plan for military use overseas, and any ideas regarding the environment. I also anticipate this address to involve grammatical correctness, something a large proportion of his opponents seem to lack. I will not even touch upon historical accuracy. Okay, still plenty of time to join the conversation on this topic today, and we'll see who gets the last word up ahead. New this morning on Local 6 today, almost a century after men began competing to see who could jump the farthest off a snow-covered ramp on skis, women finally get their chance. For the best female ski jumpers in the world, February 11th marks a successful campaign to get to Sochi, Russia. Johnette Warwick recently spoke with two members of the U.S. team about their fight, safety, and who's the best in the world.
But Jerome's will.
As for the likely candidate to win the gold, the favorite is Japan's Sara Takanashi, who's only 17 years old, but Lindsey Vann says anyone could be on that medal stand.
Japan, Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Norway, hopefully us. I would say look for us.
Well, an American looking to give some good competition to Takanashi, Sarah Hendrickson. Hendrickson beat Takanashi at last year's World Championships, but tore her ACL in August. Hendrickson returned just in time to qualify for this year's team. Glad to see women making history like that. Really cool.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Doing the math in my head.
Sunny, and we'll have a high in the upper 30s.
This may surprise you. It turns out some of the lowest tuition and best financial aid are available at some of the most academically demanding institutions.
That's according to the Princeton Review's annual rankings. And when we come back, we'll share the list of the top 5 public and private universities with the most generous financial aid.
Right now the time is 6:49, and you're watching Local 6 today. 8 minutes before 7 o'clock, and checking news off the wires, Illinois lawmakers are urging the federal government to change its formula for deciding who gets disaster aid.
Senators Dick Durbin and Mark Kirk say that they have introduced a bill to make the calculations more fair. The Federal Emergency Management Agency recently denied aid to Illinois communities hit by November tornadoes. State officials say FEMA made its decision based on population, which works against Illinois because of its large size.
The senator's bill would require FEMA to consider more of the local factors, including poverty rates and tax base. Truman State University in northern Missouri is one of the top 10 public schools in the nation as far as helping bright students earn a degree without going broke.
That's all based on a Princeton review that looked at admissions, tuition, and financial aid data for about 700 colleges in the previous school year. Now, here are the top 5 public universities that gave out the most financial aid. At number 1, it's University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, followed by New College of Florida in Sarasota, University of Virginia in Charlottesville, North Carolina, and North Carolina State University in Raleigh, and University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Truman State University ranked number 9 on the list.
And here are the top 5 private universities. Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts tops that list, followed by Harvard, Swarthmore College, Yale, and Princeton University.
And still ahead on Local 6 today, the 6 things you need to know before you head out the door this morning.
And that includes President Obama's State of the Union address. We'll also have some interesting facts that you may not have known about the event, so stay tuned for that. Thank you, John. Before you go this morning, a local school district sets a deadline for its search for a new superintendent. A teen is wanted in a shooting that injured a parent. Both inside 6 things to know for today. The search for a suspect continues in Carbondale, Illinois. Police are looking for 18-year-old Amari Tinsley in connection to yesterday's shooting near Rebound High School. Tinsley is described as a black male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighing 190 pounds. Police say he is considered to be armed and dangerous. Hemp production could be coming back to Kentucky. A new 5-year farm bill would allow limited hemp cultivation in select states. A House vote is expected this week. The McCracken County School District hopes to have a new superintendent by the end of March. Dr. Nancy Walder plans to retire from the job after her contract expires. First responders are warning you to stay off the ice. They say that lakes and ponds in our area do not freeze hard enough for people to venture out on them. Louisiana is getting ready for snow. The winter storm heading south today has so far canceled more than 2,000 flights in and out of that region. And President Obama delivers his 5th State of the Union speech tonight. He's expected to focus on income inequality, the minimum wage, and immigration. That's 6 things you need to know for today, Tuesday, January 28, 2014.
And this morning we've been asking for your expectations for the State of the Union address, but instead of sharing a last word this morning, here are 3 interesting facts about the speech that you may not have known. Number 1 here, it doesn't actually have to be a speech. Presidents George Washington and John Adams did it in person, and Thomas Jefferson wrote a report.
Number 2, it does not have to be an annual event. The Constitution does not say that the State of the Union has to be done yearly. Both of the Bushes, along with Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton, all skipped doing one just before leaving office.
And speaking of Clinton, he has so far delivered the longest speech. It lasted for 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 51 seconds. And you can, of course, catch the State of the Union address here on Local 6 tonight. That starts at 8 o'clock.
Our 2 hours and 30 minutes are up now, just about.
Time's up.
So watch the speech tonight, and of course watch today on NBC. It begins here in about 3 seconds.
Have a great morning.